Hello, my name is Thor Bolin. This is classes for ITT 370-500. My first assignment is wired versus wireless. Wireless Wi-Fi OSI model. The wireless LAN operates on the physical and data link layers, which is layer 1 and 2. The Wi-Fi connections conform to the 802.1.1 standards, and the medium arbitration controlling when the AP can access the mediums and transmit or receive data is done at these two layers. The physical layer, this is the layer that conveys the bit streams, the electrical impulse, light, or radio signals, to the network at the electrical and mechanical level. It provides the hardware means of sending and receiving data on a carrier, including defining the cables, cards, and physical aspects. The data link layer 2, which is the layer 2, is at this layer, the data packets are encoded and decoded into bits. It furnishes transmissions, protocols, knowledge, and management, and handles errors in the physical layer, flow control, and frame synchronization. The data link is divided into two sublayers: the media access control (MAC) layer and the logical link control (LLC) layer. The MAC sublayer controls how a computer on the network gains access to the data and permissions to transmit it. The LLC layer controls the frame synchronization from control and error checking. This is the Wi-Fi OSI model. As we continue, the wireless are not able to detect collisions. These types of networks are subject to intentional interference and disruptions, drop signals, dead zones, higher latency, lower speeds, or likely to be attacked using sophisticated hacking applications such as war driving. The new standards like 802.11 AC and 802.11 November, which offer a maximum speed of 866.7 megabytes per second and 150 megabytes per second respectively. Wireless aren't able to detect the collision. They're more susceptible to dead zones. Let's say in a house you'll probably find a dead zone that you can't connect to the Wi-Fi router. The wireless connections have improved. As I said in 802.11, they have improved immensely. But don't let that fool you. Some certain capabilities that a router says it has, it won't fully reach to that potential. The wired Ethernet OSI model. These are covered on layer 1, 2, 3, and 4. The physical layer in the wired world consists of connectors, cables, fiber, and optics. That's the physical layer right here. The data layer is where the upper layer information is encapsulated into a frame. This is also where the MAC address information is added. To be clear, at this layer, your data is referenced as a frame and not an IP packet. The data layer right there. The network layer is where the upper layer information is encapsulated into IP packet right here. This is where all your IP header is added. The transport layer is where the TCP or UDP information is added right here. So the Ethernet OSI model is covered in layer 1, the physical layer. Layer 2, the data layer, is where all the upper information is encapsulated into a frame. Like most network cards, they have a MAC address, sort of like a home address. And then the layer 3 is the network layer, is where all the upper information is encapsulated into an IP packet. That's where everything is getting ready to be packed in there. And then the transport layer is where the TCP or the UDP information is added. That's the wired Ethernet OSI model. Wired continued. The wired connections in theory are relatively difficult to hack into, while wireless networks are more susceptible to attacks. Wired networks have the ability to detect and mitigate data collisions. Wired connections are fixed and limited, but offer stability and faster and secure connections. Wired connections average download speed from the internet is 25 megabytes per second. Wireless is slightly slower as well, but you can use wireless from anywhere around the house. Just be careful. So the wired versus wireless security. The 7 steps to hacking wired connections. The first one is reconnaissance. They'll use scanners, dumpsters, diving, social engineering. They'll also use probes, which is scanners and sniffers. The 3 is toehold. Typically are spoofing tools, Trojan horses, passwords, crackers, and holes, and trust management. The 4th one is advancement, which they're going to use password crackers, software bugs. The 5th is they're going to use the stealth and the backdoor tools. They're on the 6th step, they're going to listen to posts. They're going to be using the sniffers, snoopers, and Trojan horses. As you see, it kind of repeats itself. And then on the 7th step, they're going to use scanners, sniffers, spoofing tools, malicious applets, buffer overflow tools, password crackers. This is when they get into the heavy applications of hacking. And this is where most of the things happen in the wired. It can also happen in the wireless as well. The wired versus wireless security continued. Wireless can be easily hacked depending on the security level of what type of encryption you're using. Let's say you're using WEP, which is slightly the old type of encryption. The newest is WPA2. That's the better encryption. War driving is also the act of searching unsecured wireless networks from a moving vehicle using a laptop or smartphone. You'd be surprised. People will search for those unsecured wireless routers, and then it will attack the person's data, bank accounts, and whatnot. The wired equivalent of privacy is security flaws, which is easy to attack, unprotected, or weak. Sometimes you'll have fake Wi-Fi access points where unsuspected users will go on and fill out their information, and then wham, the hacker has all your credentials. Protection against these attacks is identify the threats, update the software routers, firewalls, and use updated web encryption. You would also want to use virtual private networks, conduct audits, two-way factor authentication, and education of security threats, phishing, and being aware of all the dangers that are out there. When I say update software and routers and firewalls, we want to make sure that's updated. We will use the users who work remotely should be accessing the company network using a virtual private network connection, which would be more secure. Two-way authentications adds a lot more security level. And education is key, ensuring all users on the network comply and understand the importance of their roles in prevention by addressing the common practices to avoid phishing, ransomware, and social engineering hacks. These are my references. I appreciate your time, and thank you very much. Have a great day. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.